of the DNVR Broncos podcast. We've got a lot to talk about. It's a Victory Friday. There's a lot that went down last night. Obviously, the Broncos beat them up, but there's a lot of underlying storylines, from Court not getting the ball to Audric fumbling again to all of the good things, too. I'm not sure why I chose two negatives. I've got Todd Davis here, and today we have a lot to talk about. We're starting in 30 seconds. This is the DNVR Broncos Podcast presented by Bet365. We're live from the Toyota Lounge. Got to give a shout out to them. I'm Henry Chisholm. That's Todd Davis. And we have so much to get to. So here's what happened. Last night, I got home. I was just writing. And I was just writing till like 1:30. And I was like, well, just write down all of your thoughts that just like went through your head over the past 2 hours. And I did it. So we've got a bunch of stuff to get through. Some of it's interesting. Some of it I might look at and be like, huh, that was a real 2 a.m. thought that we can probably skip.
I was a little tipsy when I wrote that last one.
Exactly. Bro, that's what's happening to me this morning, because I woke up and I was like, I didn't get nearly enough sleep. I had like this headache. I was like, well, potential 2 Celsius day.
So you woke up with a headache and your first thought was like, let me just intake 600 milligrams of caffeine and see if that helps my headache.
All I have for work today is just this show.
Okay.
So it's all about just like make the show.
Through this hour.
It doesn't matter. The rest of the day, my girlfriend's dad gets here in a couple hours, so there's that part too. But that's not work. That's just
it's a little work.
It's a little work.
Bit.
We got the Avs
you gotta
game.
be on. You know what I'm saying? You gotta be. Can't be falling asleep at the table.
The other thing is we're going to the Avs game tonight, so I'm not sure if I should like save one for like around 6 o'clock to get me through that.
Like another boost.
Sometimes you just have like a beer and that kind of, get you going. We'll see. It really is the best time of the year, though. I'm so fired up. Because the other thing is that, so obviously the Broncos are playing well.
Yes.
I got to go home and rewatch the Nuggets preseason game. They're playing well. The Nuggets are going, the Avs are going. I might need a second Celsius. And the Montana Grizzlies play here next Saturday, playing Greeley. So driving up to Greeley for that one.
It's going to be just a murder.
It is.
I know.
It's nice because they actually won a game. They ended like an 18-game losing streak last week. Wow. So they have like a little bit of momentum. But yeah, I mean,
just Montana's going to come in here and kill
off
all
a
their
bye.
hopes.
I think last time it was like 40-0. But yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. Let's start with this. This is Zach's favorite question. Do you feel better or worse about the game this morning than you did last night?
Oh, that is definitely Zach's favorite day after a game podcast question.
I know.
I think I felt the same. I felt good about the win last night, and I still feel good about it. I think we did a great job running the ball, and, I'm not going to, I want to see more throwing, but it's hard to critique when you have a win that good,
Exactly.
So, and then other times, we're going to need to throw the ball, and, Bo's going to need 300 yards for us to win, and we're going to have maybe 70 yards rushing. I think a win's a win for the most part, so I feel good about it.
Yeah, I've got a lot of thoughts. I also feel the same, for what it's worth. The Broncos are way better than the Saints. I think that was clear from the first play when they picked up 15 yards or whatever it was. The Broncos are way, way, way better than the Saints. They also could have won that game by more.
Way more.
And I guess that last touchdown that got the Saints to 10 points, that was with the Broncos third stringers in, which was kind of fun to see. Kedron Smith didn't necessarily play well. Devin Key didn't necessarily play well, but it's awesome to see those guys get a chance to get on the field. But I mean, that could have been a shutout. And I think offensively, obviously there was more on the table for them because they were we'll get into some of the missed throws, but I'm way more encouraged by the fact that they can go in there and dominate an NFL team. It may be the worst NFL team at the moment, but dominate an NFL team despite I didn't think really having their A game. So to me, this was kind of proof that the Broncos, they aren't in that bottom tier of the NFL. Mm-hmm. And we don't know exactly how far up that list of tiers they are, but I think that they're closer to, let's just say, like the Chiefs and Ravens coming up. I think they're closer to the Chiefs and Ravens than they are to that Saints team. Now, that Saints team also is like down 3 offensive linemen and playing Spencer Rattler for the second time in his career. So maybe you should be closer to those other teams in that bottom tier. But coming into the season, everybody was expecting the Broncos to be bad. You know, the win total was set at 5.5 or whatever, and the under was favored. So I think that was my big takeaway, is just that the Broncos are not in that bottom tier. They are better than that group, and so much better that they don't even need to play all that well. They can just show up and beat the hell out of them.
Ooh, that's a just show up, huh?
Just show up. The last night was a just show up game, and I think Sunday might be one too.
Yeah, I think they're playing some like pretty bad teams the next 2 games or these last 2 games. And I think that Saints roster is so depleted. Like, they just gave up 51 points. Most of their starters aren't playing. Like, we have to find a way, you know, to win. I don't even know if that's the bottom tier in the NFL. I think they even maybe a tier below the bottom tier in the NFL because, you know, most of their starters aren't there. But I think it is good to see the Broncos win a game that they should have won and win it in a way that is like, it wasn't close. It wasn't, you know, a field goal at the end of the game to win it. Like, it was a true dominating win, and that's something that we haven't had against good opponents or bad opponents. Like, you know, and I think it's good to see the Broncos start to figure things out and just dominate the teams that you should dominate, and then, you know, that kind of get your confidence up to kind of, you know, play those really, really good teams in the NFL even harder.
I would like to see the Saints play Texas.
It would be a close game.
And usually you say, I know, and usually when people say, like, could the best college team beat the worst NFL team? I'd be like, no, that's just not how it works. But, like, that Saints team, when they really are, I mean, by the end of the game, they lost to Dabo, they'd lost Lattimore. Like, that was not an NFL team in a lot of ways.
Well, I mean, a lot of the guys were rookies, so
totally.
I mean,
and, like, Spencer Rattler's the quarterback. We've seen Spencer Rattler play college football. He's fine. He's not Quinn Ewers, though.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'd be curious.
Yeah.
The
no
point
disrespect to any veterans on the Saints.
No,
but there's a lot of young guys playing. You guys are really depleted. Like, there's no way you guys could have won that game.
Totally. And the Broncos did what they should do and just bullied them. Like, they couldn't keep up in the trenches offensively or defensively. Like, it was just an absolute beatdown, as it probably should have been. And I think that can come across as negative, that the Broncos, like, yeah, they won, but they should have won. No. Coming into the season, the expectation was that sort of game would be a battle. You go on the road to play a team like that this would be a game that, it's a toss-up, 50-50, Thursday Night Football. That was not a 50-50 game. The Broncos are so much better than that team, and it's so rare, or has been for the past, 8-9 years, that we've been able to say they're just that much better that if they just show up, they win. And I think that might be kind of a sign that you're getting into a new era of football. Not necessarily that there are going to be a lot of those games that you're just way better than the other team, but, you know, I give Zach a lot of crap for saying a game is like, yep, that's an automatic win. They're close to, like, that game was pretty close to an automatic win. I think the Panthers game next Sunday is pretty close to an automatic win, and that's just a great feeling to have because it hasn't been here in a while.
I do think it's an automatic win. But I don't know if I see more on the schedule.
I agree.
To say that they're there yet. Like, I think when you are a really good team, you can look at your schedule, 17 games, and you probably find 9 or 10 that are automatic wins.
Yep.
When you're, like, nice. And I just know that the Broncos have had 2, and it was the Saints with almost no starters, and it's the Panthers who are bad and have been bad for a couple years. So I'm happy that we're winning.
Yep.
We got to keep winning. And then I think the more we win, the more our confidence is boosted, the more we get unwanted cap off our books. I think everything is trending upward for the Broncos.
Yep. Let's start with Bo. He did enough.
Did enough.
I think my first question is, do you feel more encouraged about Bo or discouraged than you did 24 hours ago?
I think I'm more encouraged about his his legs, the more I see him run, like he really is a runner and an athlete at quarterback, which he's not giving him really credit for or wasn't given credit for coming out of the draft. Some of the passes last night, I just felt a little discouraged. A couple of them hit the turf, a couple wide open receivers. I wasn't sure that was the best Bo Nix last night. And I felt like he had a lot of opportunities. Mm-hmm. So that's what made me kind of like discouraged with the way he threw the football.
Yeah, I mean, Sean has said often that if they just paint the picture for him, then he'll go out there and do his job. That wasn't necessarily the case yesterday because they painted the picture. And that first drive had a nice throw to kick it off. I think that was Troy Franklin to kick it off. Mm-hmm. But then first down incompletion that should have been, I mean, there were two wide open receivers. Second down incompletion, third down incompletion, just three missed throws back to back to back, kills the drive. You kick a field goal. And that was tough to watch because the accuracy, as we've said a few times, like that was the calling card. That was supposed to be why he is deserving of being a first round pick. And that accuracy was not there.
Yep.
I think that the accuracy will come. I think that the mechanics will come, but there's just so much on his plate right now in terms of knowing the offense that you focus on that, and then the offseason you go back through and you try to clean up all those little hitches and the release and all that sort of stuff, and down the road that'll show up. I do think that he's running the offense well. Mm-hmm. I think that if you just ignore what happened when he actually threw the football, which I know is tough to do for a quarterback.
The most important part.
Exactly. But I think that he was generally throwing the ball to the right spots. I think that I'm not sure that they're putting too much on his plate pre-snap, but if they were, it was obviously all working. The running is obviously working. I love the design runs they were getting into earlier, read options. The accuracy's still not there, and that's why he didn't throw for. I mean, I think 300 yards was on the table last night.
Yeah.
And he was at 180, but I think that there's stuff to be encouraged by. As we've said over and over again, we're still just waiting to see him put it all together and look like, what you want to see is he looks like a Pro Bowl quarterback. I mean, you draft a guy in the first round, that's what it's all about, and that just, it isn't there yet.
Yeah, I think Bo looks good. But there are some, I didn't like the, pass that Tyrann Mathieu dropped. It should have been an interception.
Yeah, no, that one was terrible.
There's a couple of those plays, and with players and guys in the NFL, that have potential and they just have to correct, whether it's mechanics, throwing the ball, whether it's setting his feet to be more accurate, all of that stuff is a 50-50 chance, of whether he'll correct it or not.
Yep.
We've seen a lot of guys go in there and, have bad rookie seasons or okay rookie seasons, turn on to be Hall of Fame quarterback. And we also seen guys have good rookie seasons and then they don't correct what needs to be corrected and all of a sudden they just tank the rest of their career. It's literally a toss-up if he's going to correct everything that needs to be corrected to be successful. But our hope is that he gets it done. And if he does, then I think the Broncos are in a really good spot.
I think so, too. I think that is what it comes down to. I think that there's enough there that if he just takes advantage of the opportunities he gets, which just means throws the ball to the receiver, and in theory maybe even hits him in stride every once in a while. That isn't something that we've seen all that often.
Yeah,
it could really open up the offense, and all of a sudden you've got something good going there. Because the mistakes generally aren't glaring, and for a rookie quarterback, he threw that one ball that just hit Tyrann Mathieu right in the hands. Other than that, they aren't massive mental mistakes. It's just putting the ball where it needs to be. Mm-hmm. And it's not a bad place for a rookie quarterback to be, but we are still it feels like waiting for Bo to prove himself. Which, hey, he's got 10 games to go, 7 down, still plenty of time. But as soon as we kind of hit that midway mark in the season, if we still haven't seen, okay, there's the Bo Nix that you were looking for, then it's going to start feeling like the countdown's on, and each week that, you go from 8 games left to 7 games left to 6 games to 5 games. All of a sudden, I think that pinch is going to be on where you're just waiting for everything to actually click.
Does Bo have a 300-yard game this season? What do you think? Do you think it clicks to where he's really rolling and 300 yards happens within the season?
I want to say yes. Like, I want to say, like, you're an NFL quarterback, just by chance it'll happen. Like you'll throw the ball to a running back and he'll take it 70 yards on a screen, and all of a sudden that kind of jumpstarts everything. Looking at the Broncos, like, receivers, I can't say that they're just going to be making those sorts of plays to make it easy for them. I'll still go yes. But I think context is important. I mean, I'm pretty sure Russ didn't have a 300-yard game his last year in Seattle when people still really liked him. I think Justin Fields only has one 300-yard passing game in his career. It was when he went for 340 against the Broncos. So 300-yard games are not as common as they were 10 years ago when Peyton Manning and Ben Roethlisberger. But still,
you just named two quarterbacks that nobody
that is true.
wants right now. But
be better than those two. Be better than those two.
Hopefully.
We've got a lot more to talk about. First, though, got to give a shout out to our friends over at Toyota. This is the Toyota Lounge, as we say often, because there's nothing better than being powered by a Toyota. You know, you just know that when you got, like, the logo on the microphone, you're going to be fast and efficient and all those other great things that come with Toyotas. We love Toyotas for a bunch of different reasons. They've got all sorts of great cars. 17 models have available all-wheel drive or four-wheel drive. They've got the 24 Tacoma, the Land Cruiser, that are awesome if you're into off-roading or hauling. Just a whole bunch of different combinations that you could look for. Like I said, they have got the all-wheel drive vehicles. They've also got 16 different hybrid vehicles, from the Tundra iForce Max hybrid truck. You got the RAV4 Grand Highlander. We love Toyota. They do a bunch for us. And so if you guys want to support them, we would really appreciate it. Visit your Front Range Toyota stores at a location near you. Auto Nation Toyota, Arapahoe and Centennial, Corwin Toyota in Boulder, Groove Toyota in Littleton, Mountain States Toyota in Denver, Stevenson Toyota East in Aurora, and Stevenson Toyota West in Lakewood. Toyota, official automotive partner of the NFL and official vehicle of DNVR.
And I got to remind you about our friends over at UC Health and their Ready, Set, Go Challenge. We are so excited to partner up with our friends at UC Health, and the goal of the challenge is to get Colorado back to its rightful place as the healthiest state in the USA. And one of the ways we do that is with good sleep. If you don't want to have to be downing 2 Celsius and eating 800 milligrams of coffee, it's very important to get your sleep. And the perfect number for sleep or hours of sleep is 8. You don't want to sleep on sleep. 8 hours is the magic number. Make sure you get a good night's rest. You got to make sleep a priority. You know, sometimes you may have to write a paper. Sometimes you may have to be up early for work, but it's important to get good sleep. And that really helps you throughout your day. A lot of good things happen while you sleep, whether it's neurological benefits or physical well-being. It's the main way to get and keep yourself healthy. You can try some guided sleep apps. They really help you to, prime your body for the most optimal rest, help you get into that zone. And you want to make sure you plan your bedtime based on the time you're going to wake up so that you make sure you get a good amount of sleep. And if you want to join the UC Health's Ready, Set, Go Challenge, click the link in the show notes or go to www.uchealth.org/Ready, Set, Go.
All right. Reminder, we're still presented by Bet365. Hopefully you guys made a bunch of money on the Broncos last night. Anything else on Bo, or should we move along?
No, I think we talked about Bo.
I think
the
so
good,
too.
The bad, the ugly. I think we know who Bo is right now, and we're just all hoping and waiting, and leaving for Bo,
yes,
to be the guy.
Yep. Courtland Sutton didn't get a target last night.
Yeah,
I know he got the one ball thrown to him. It was a defensive holding, and so it wipes out the fact that the ball was thrown to him. It just doesn't count as a target. Is that a problem?
I don't know if I love it, and I don't know if it makes sense. You know what I'm saying? With him being your best receiver. I don't know. I mean, we got the win, so that's most important. But I do think that he should have been a bigger part of the offense and the game plan. But maybe Lattimore is just that good of a corner that we just chose to not deal with that, let Bo not throw into traffic and potentially get the ball intercepted and kind of use some of the younger guys. So I think I'm happy we got the win.
Yep, me too. And if they hadn't gotten the win, it'd be a different conversation. Also, if Court had a different attitude, it would also be a different conversation. But he isn't a Devontae Adams, for example, a guy who, if he doesn't get the ball, it's going to be an issue. I think Court, when you're comparing him to other receivers, isn't quite as diva-ish as some of the others, and I think that really helps in a case like this. Whenever you score that many points, it's tough to really complain about it. I'm not sure it's sustainable to not be getting him the ball. I think that when you play good teams, you're going to have to find a way to get him the ball. I do wonder, remember there was that little fade to Lil Jordan Humphrey jump ball. I want to go back and look and see what Court was doing on that play. Because if that's one where Court wasn't even on the field and you decided to throw that pass to Lil Jordan, who I think has been playing really well and should be a part of the Broncos' future, like that's a ball that should be going to Court if at all possible.
Yeah, 100%. I think because of what Court does best, I think that would have been a perfect play for him. In my mind, Lil Jordan Humphrey is like the run after the catch guy. Yep. Make catches in traffic and get you, extra, 7 to 10 yards.
Good blocker.
Yep. Solid guy. It's funny because you talk about Court and his attitude. It's like nice guys finish last. Like because I'm not a diva, then no targets is okay because I'm not going to make a big deal about it because I'm a good guy. Like that sucks.
Yeah.
That sucks.
Yeah. What's a squeaky wheel gets the grease.
That's the saying.
Yep.
But then you get in trouble for being a squeaky wheel.
You do. Nobody likes a squeaky wheel.
Nobody likes a squeaky
Everybody
wheel.
hates that.
So do I need grease or what? Like, if I need grease, what do I do?
Just
don't squeak too much.
Hope somebody greases you.
Hope somebody loves you enough to keep you greased.
Yep.
Oh, man.
Yep. Yeah, I don't think it's a trend. I am curious. I haven't had a chance, obviously, to go back and actually watch and see what happened. Maybe it was just doubled all night, It didn't feel like it, but who knows? It does feel like yesterday was a turning point for the receivers, though, because you got a lot of Vela. You saw the Broncos, I think, kind of force feed the ball to Troy Franklin because there's so many short passes. I think 3 catches in the first couple of drives, which made it feel like they're trying to get him involved. Also, we finally saw Marvin at running back, which is something that I have been begging for because I think that can really unleash some of the things he does, use him in that Deebo Samuel type way. Only one play. It worked, though. Got a few yards on the swing pass. All of a sudden, though, those young receivers are getting the opportunities, and some of it's a product of no Josh Reynolds. But what do you think the pecking order is right now at receiver?
I still think Court is 1. I would probably say Vele and Franklin are tied for 2, and then you got Lil Jordan Humphrey right after them, and then Marvin Mims will probably be right behind.
Yeah.
Just because I feel like this was the most he was used as a receiver was this game. But now that I start thinking about the film and the passes that were being completed, a lot of them were in between the numbers, a lot of slants, and a lot of in the middle of the field passing game, which is not really what Court does. Yep. So maybe this just wasn't the game plan. They really wanted to attack the nickels and the linebackers and the safeties. That's what I'm hoping it is. So that's what I'm going to say.
Yeah. I think all the receivers are pretty close together right now. In terms of how much value they can bring on, in any given game. I think that means that maybe the rest of the season, it's about seeing who separates themselves. I think that they're finding different ways to use these receivers. I think that sometimes that's tough. I think when you bring in Devon Vele and Troy Franklin and add them to the group, for coaching staff, it can be hard to figure out what exactly those guys do well. Because it's not just Devon Vele, the in-breaking stuff, he's pretty good, but you need to figure out what's the counter for him? Where's he best aligned? How does he get to those spots where he's effective? I think we've gotten to the point in the season where, for Troy Franklin and Devon Vele in particular, I think the coaching staff knows how they want to use them. And I think that now you kind of have all these pieces, and you just use them to their strengths. And obviously have the counters off them too, so you're not too predictable, and see who pops over the course of the rest of the year. But it helps going up against the Saints defense where all those guys should be able to maybe not win every matchup, but at least as like Devon Bailey being a 7th round rookie, be competitive against anybody he lines up against. I think that playing field is level, and I think they're finding out how to use Marvin as a gadget guy. I think that the second half of the season, you really could see one or two of them take off.
I'm ready for it, man.
Yeah.
I think this is a good year for young receivers on the Broncos. It's a learning year, and I think everybody has equal opportunity. And if you are a dog and you're a go-getter, go ahead and get, a spot, because they're open and they're looking for guys to come in there and be sparks to the offense and be outlets for Bo Nix. And, I think whoever can do it, they're not opposed to having, if Vele, even though he's a 7th rounder, Troy Franklin was drafted higher. Like, if Vele's the guy, Vele's the guy.
Yep.
If it's Troy, then it's Troy. I don't think anybody has like a gold star on their helmet where they're trying to feed him and make him be the guy. They're really looking for whoever can go in there and produce as a young wide receiver. So it's completely open.
Speaking of young players, can you keep giving Audric Estime the football?
That's not my responsibility, so no, I can't, because I have no control over it. But should they? It's I think you get into that dilemma of like, sometimes when a young back fumbles, the best thing to do is to give him the ball the very next play, and then sometimes the best thing to do is say, hey, sit down, take a break, let's get your technique right of how you need to carry the football. Maybe have No Sean come in and give him some pointers. But it's really a toss-up. And for me, with Estime, I would probably say, let's have him take a break just for a little bit, because, fumbled very early in his career. Was out for a little bit with an injury. Had a little bit of action last week, and kind of his first game back really rolling, fumbles again. We got to, sit down for a second, remind you of the importance of holding on to the football and kind of working your technique running in between the tackles.
Yep. I think, he's had 9 carries in his career. 2 of them, he fumbled the ball away. That's not a good sign. And I think the first time he fumbled, what was that? It was that week 1, I believe. It was after a good run. It was like a 13-yard run. Sean says there was a very obvious injury. If you go back and look at the tape, I personally didn't think it was all that obvious, or I missed it. Maybe I'm just dumb. The conspiracy theory would be that the 4 weeks on IR weren't because there was this egregious ankle injury, because he looked fine to me whenever he was walking around. It was that kind of was putting Audric on timeout, saying, like, if you fumble, this is what happens. We just can't give you the football. And so they give Tyler Bidet a chance. I'm curious to see what happens this time, because the other side of it is, before he fumbled on that 9th carry of the season, I think he had 8 carries for 57 yards. I think he was over 7 yards per carry up to that point. So obviously there's some juice there. I think when I watch him play, he looks like a guy who could end the Broncos' streak of not having a 1,000-yard rusher. Every time he gets the ball, he's patient when he should be patient. He hits the hole hard. He looks faster than you'd think for a guy his size. He makes guys miss. He falls forward. There's a lot to like, but I'm just not sure whether you can give him the ball when you know that there's a fumbling problem.
Nothing's more important than protecting the football. I think everything that happened with Melvin Gordon while he was here is like a prime sign of that. Like, he made some good runs. He's making good cuts, jump cuts. But I think nothing matters if you can't hold on to the football. And if you have, you know what I'm saying, it's 7 yards to carry, but you're giving it up every game, like, all that's null and voided. Like, doesn't matter anymore. So, for right now, we can't give him the football. Like, he needs to just get better in between the tackles. And I think he's just young, and I think he's just maybe trying to do too much in between the tackles. Like, you run hard, you downhill, but you protect the football, and then you hit your stiff arms, you hit your spin moves when you're jumping over defenders. That's after you get through all that trash. You're trying to do all the stiff arms and stuff in all that trash. There's too many people around the football that can get it off of you. You know what I'm saying? And I think that's what's happening. Yeah,
I think so too. And I think against the Panthers, you can afford a fumble.
No.
Well, I think you can, and
no. We're not going into the game talking about like if you fumble, it's all right because it's the Panthers. Like, no,
but
the rules are the rules. The standards are the standards. You cannot lower the standards no matter who you're playing.
I 100%. But if I'm Sean Payton, I feel like my options are okay. We sit this guy down. And just like he doesn't get to play. And I'm not sure whether it's another stint on IR or if you just give him a month or you wait till the running game needs some pop and so you got to try something. I don't think that I would need to sit him down against the Panthers. I think that might be one of those games where you can be like, hey, if you fumble in this one, you're done because we can't have this anymore. You know, you look back. I think I've seen a bunch of Broncos fans upset in the past couple of years because they see Isaiah McKenzie succeeding with the Bills, and it's great for him. Like, you want to see him have success. You just couldn't afford to give him the ball anymore in Denver because he fumbled so many times. You just can't do it. Eventually, you get to that point. If you play Audric this week and he fumbles, then all of a sudden the decision.
Then he's done.
He's done.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I'd rather let him sit down and think about his actions.
Again? Like, it didn't work the first time.
Yeah, I'm not saying forever.
Okay,
like,
when do you bring him back? Because you can't bring him back against the Ravens. Then you can't bring him back against the Chiefs.
You bring him back against the Panthers at the end of the game. You don't bring him back. You don't, like, first, second, third quarter, like, Jalil, Javonte, you guys are taking all the reps. That's what's going to happen. You know, end of the third quarter, we're up by 20 points. All right, estimate. Mm-hmm. You're going back in. Do not fumble. If you fumble this ball, you are not playing the rest of the season. Like, this is your last opportunity. But you have to be in a game where you're in full control over because I think for him, the pressure is still the pressure. I don't think it matters if he goes in getting the first carry of the game or he goes in later on in the game. Like, the pressure for him to hold onto the football is there regardless.
Yep.
So I don't think it matters when you put him in. It's more so about what would hurt the team the least. And I think a fumble in the fourth quarter up 20 is going to hurt a lot less than, you know, fumbling in the first quarter.
Yeah, I agree. I think that if he fumbles again, he's a cut candidate. You know, maybe you can find a way to put him on IR the rest of the year, but it's 2 fumbles on 9 carries. Plus, he had one in the preseason, which was it was already on your mind that this could be an issue.
Yes.
And so you've hit the point where you can't trust him with the football.
Yeah.
You just can't. As exciting as everything else has been. So I
think it's like you don't want people to have that stigma, but I know this is kind of unrelated, but no disrespect to Quan, but why was Quan starting?
Oh, we're gonna get there.
When Justin Stranad has been playing
gonna get there.
Really good football.
Yep.
I think they see him as a special teams guy.
Yeah.
If we see you as a fumbler, that's it.
And I just don't know. I don't know what the path out of that is.
Not
like the
fumbling.
path is for him to have like 200 straight carries without fumble, obviously. But I don't know when you justify giving him those carries, especially if it's not this week. Like, if you're not giving him those carries against the Panthers, I don't know who you can give him are you just waiting for the? You hope the season goes well. You hope that, you know, you get to December and you're 8-4 and you're looking at the playoffs. But in an alternate universe where, you know, maybe you head into the last couple weeks and you're out of the playoff hunt, maybe that's where you can get him on the field and just see what happens.
Yes.
They're in such a roster pinch, though. It's just so hard to justify holding onto a roster spot for a running back that you refuse to play.
Make him inactive.
Yeah.
For a couple games. Or, Dulcich has been a healthy scratch. We don't know what's going on there. You can make him inactive, let him travel, you know, see if you can kind of fix things, so work on extra things after practice.
You just add a running back. You find somebody you can take, because you got to have 3 on game days, you know?
We do. Jalil, Javonte, and Marvin.
There we go. I love it.
That's the 3.
All right.
And I don't think you need 3.
No?
Nobody's getting 15 carries a game. Like,
it's true.
We're getting 18 carries between 3 backs. Like, I think 2 backs can handle 18 carries. 10 and 8, I think, let's do it.
Okay. I'm curious to see what they do. We had a late night, or we have a quick word from our sponsors, we should say. We had a late night last night. Again, had to keep it reasonable, of course, because there was a post-game show. But there were several tequila shots going around up here. And I bet...
I don't know who had those.
No, I don't know who had those, because everybody was trying to give them to you, but you were too responsible. You said, no, we've got a post-game show. I bet everybody who was here last night would feel better if they had some Z-Biotics. Z-Biotics are awesome. They're great pre-alcohol drink. You just drink it before you get into whatever you're going to get into, and you're going to feel better the next day. It's one of those things where, again, as you get older, as a 27-year-old myself, I can say that sometimes you have to choose between either having a great night, having a great day, but then you have the Z-Biotics pre-alcohol, and it's just a surefire way to make sure that you wake up feeling fresh after a night of drinking. Again, they're very popular at this company. A bunch of people have them. We had a bunch of people from DNVR down at the bar yesterday. A Dre got out of his house on a Thursday night. That's always exciting to see. Very rare. I would imagine he's a guy who had some Z-Biotics, though, just to make sure that he was ready to be the general manager of DNVR this morning. You guys should check them out. They use GMO technology, release different products that help address toxic byproducts of modern living in the gut. So you can go to zbiotics.com/DNVR Broncos to learn more. You get 15% off your first order when you use DNVR Broncos at checkout. It's backed with a 100% money back guarantee. So if you're unsatisfied for any reason, they'll refund your money, no questions asked.
And shout out to our friends over at Constant Contact. I know I'm really big on goals and setting goals for myself, planning out goals to start the year, and then ever so often making sure I refine those goals because of how the year is going, to make sure I'm always hitting my marks and being my best. And we're already almost in quarter 4 of this year, so the year is going by fast. So if there's goals that you haven't hit and you want to hit, and you're a business owner, you got to check out our friends over at Constant Contact. It's time to put the go in your 2024 business goals with email, social, SMS, and customized marketing campaigns built for you in just a few clicks. Ready, set, go to constantcontact.com/ALLCITY and start your free trial today. Go to constantcontact.com/ALLCITY for your free trial. You can get on top of your goals. 2024 is not over. You don't have to wait to the new year. Everybody wants to do the New Year's resolutions, but don't quit on your resolutions and your goals for 2024. Head to constantcontact.com/ALLCITY.
All right. We're going to wrap up the offense here because there's so much to talk about. But did Javonte just magically get better last night, or was that just a product of the blocking? Because he looked awesome.
I think he has been looking really good. I think the fumble last week is what kind of put him on like a little bit of the hot seat, but I think he had been running downhill a little bit more than we had seen. What I'm excited to see is like most of his runs that he's hitting now, he's one tackle away. Yeah. Like he's really in that space where like if he can just make one more person miss, like house call. Like he's really getting in the mode to where he's running downhill. The blocking is turning out to be great. I mean, and sometimes it's like the blocking is good, but the defense does exactly what you need for them. Like they had one of Javonte's touchdown. It was a linebacker blitz. Linebacker chose to go on the backside A gap at the same time that the front side tackle was exiting the A gap and going to the B gap. I mean, like you couldn't ask for the defense to run a better play for you to score in that moment. So, sometimes luck is involved, but ultimately I feel like he's running well right now.
Yep, he is running well. And I'm excited to see him keep getting the ball. Because a few weeks ago, I was a little nervous about this group of running backs because they weren't productive, and obviously offensive line had a hand in it. I thought that, if you wind up at the trade deadline with a solid record, you think you're making a push, that running back could be a place where you could add. But Javonte looks like himself. It just kills me that Audric has fumbled twice on 9 carries.
I know.
Because I would love for him to be a part of that group because it just works so well when it works. I thought Alex Forsythe was good yesterday. I noticed him on a couple of different plays. Maybe we can get into that later on, but we're wrapping up the offense. Mike McGlinchey or Alex Pelshevsky?
Mike was good. Last week.
I mean,
last night. Like he didn't do anything that I felt like, like a glaring problem. I feel like he was solid.
It feels like the Broncos have 3 tackles right now, which is rare in the NFL, and it's a good feeling to have.
3?
Well, when Pelshevsky gets healthy.
But you're saying Bowlesy. Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
So I'm curious how that all plays out. But McGlinchey looks awesome. Bowles is... Again, he's one of the 10 best left tackles in the NFL. Like, he has his flaws, and there are a couple penalties or whatever. Left tackles are hard to find, and he's a good one. And then you got Palshevsky. That's just a good position to be in. All right, last question for the offense. Did the Broncos find their identity last night?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. They're a running team that have to utilize the quarterback's legs to add to their ability to run, and I think they do best in passing plays where you got guys crossing the field. I don't think they're a team that works well outside the numbers right now. I think they're inside the numbers, attacking you with slants, overs, crossing routes. I think that's how they find yards in the passing game, and then you add that to a downhill running attack. I think that's the Broncos' formula for success right now.
Yep, and I think a lot of those crossing routes are off misdirection.
Yep.
So like fake like that same side zone toss over there and roll out, and all of a sudden you got somebody coming across. It felt like Sean Payton was saving some things for last night. Because, again, like Marvin Mims is in the backfield. I thought the misdirection, especially like all the play action type misdirection, was a lot sharper than it has been in the past. It wasn't just a simple like bootleg or like here's a little fake handoff and then we're going to throw it. It seemed very well designed in a way that I think Broncos fans hadn't seen in the past few weeks. I think that's why a lot of people were upset with the way the offense was being called. Just that it looked a little bit bland. It felt to me like Sean was saving some stuff for this game, which you can't fault him for. I mean, that's the one that he really wanted. It's a short week, so you're not going to have a bunch of time to plan anyway. But when you see the creativity that we saw last night, I think that's what's encouraging going forward. They went no huddle on a couple plays. It wasn't often, and it wasn't like a quick hurry up, get to the line, but there were just those little change ups in there that I think Sean really hit on, and I hope that we see more of that the rest of the season.
I think we will. And, you know, I talked about it before. No huddle is always tough on the defense. We've only have a couple plays we can call because you guys are back on the ball. We may be in a personnel we don't want to be in versus what you have in the game, and we kind of got to live with it. So I think just a couple switch-ups here and there, changing it up, keep the defense on their toes, but then give Bo some stuff that he really knows, some stuff that he doesn't have to think about too much. I think that's, you know, it's going to help Bo out. And the more, you know, Sean can do to help Bo, you know, the more guys he can get wide open, I think that Bo will hit those guys.
Won't miss them all.
Yeah. You know what I'm saying? He can't miss everybody. So at least 7 out of 10 times. So
7 out of 10, yeah.
You know, that was just
like Oregon.
1 out of the 7.
Yeah, I think the offense is in a good place. And again, it's a lot easier to do that against a Saints team that is weaker than it had been at the beginning of the season when they were putting up some big numbers. I think that just getting some rhythm in a game like that can be big. Like knowing what it feels like for everybody just to execute their blocks, create a running lane, take advantage of it. And then because of that, you do it over and over. The defense is starting to worry more about the run, and so you're able to hit him in the passing game. I think Mike McGlinchey was talking about it last night. He basically said, like, yeah, it feels really good to be able to go out there with, 8 minutes left in the game. The defense knows you're running the football and still hit for 10 yards a pop. So I think that they have figured something out. I think again, the misdirection is what really stood out. Whether it's like the fake jet sweeps seem to be working better. It's those tosses, the rollouts, getting out of the pocket. I think that's another spot where Sean doesn't get enough credit. He's finding ways to get Bo throwing from different places, even if it isn't off a play action or bootleg. It won't be a straight drop back. They'll kind of play the offensive line, seal the edge a bit so that you can drop off a little bit to the right and just kind of change those locations. It's all working right now. I think that's good to see.
Yep, it's working.
All right. We're going to have to get into the defense here, but first, got to give a shout out to our friends over at Bet365. DNVR events. We have tailgates. Oh, we haven't announced. Next week's tailgate is going to be a fun one, though, for some particular reasons that I think Todd is going to be excited about.
Tell them. Don't be scared.
Are we telling them?
Yeah. Let them know.
Pre-game show from the tailgate next week.
Yep.
So Todd and Jarrell and Noshan will be live from the parking lot. Sports fan. That's going to be a lot of fun. Yeah, there's the excitement that we need. So make sure you come out to that one. It's also, I'm not in the business of guaranteeing wins. When Zach gets back on Monday, Zach will guarantee a win in that game. So that's how good we feel about it. Tailgates are a lot of fun. I've had family out at them. A lot of friends come out to them. A lot of DNVR employees come just because it's a cool way to start your day, even if you aren't going to the game. If you're interested, you can go to thednvr.com/events for tickets. Again, it's right at the stadium. It's in the parking lot Sports Fan, which kind of overlooks it all. It's a really cool spot. We got Primo Hoagies, we got Breckenridge Brewery, Breckenridge Distillery, a bunch of games, the best views. And you can get season passes too. So follow us on social at DNVR_sports to see all of our events, or go to thednvr.com/events to check out our calendar.
And shout out to our friends over at Indeed. If you need to hire, you need Indeed. Indeed is your matching and hiring platform with over 350 million global monthly visitors, according to Indeed data, and a matching engine that helps you find quality candidates fast. Ditch the busy work. Use Indeed for scheduling, screening, and messaging so you can connect with candidates faster. And Indeed doesn't just help you hire faster. 93% of employers agree Indeed delivers the highest quality matches compared to other job sites, according to a recent Indeed survey. My wife and I own a couple businesses.
Oh, you sure do.
You know what I'm saying? Staffing is not always easy. Mm-hmm. And I think Indeed is a great platform. And they actually do give you very, very good candidates and a plethora of them. Like they said, they have over 350 million monthly visitors. Mm-hmm. So there's a lot of people to choose from, a lot of great candidates, and you can definitely find good employees at Indeed. And right now, all listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to get your jobs more visibility at Indeed.com/AllCity. Just go to Indeed.com/AllCity right now and support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on this podcast. That's Indeed.com/AllCity. Terms and conditions apply. Need to hire? You need Indeed.
All right. Quan Alexander got the start for the Broncos last night. They did have a rotation. He played about 30% of the snaps. Justin Sternad played about 60% of the snaps. Cody Barton was on the field for every play, though. What do you think about Quan getting the start and getting his first action yesterday?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I know Quan's a good linebacker.
Yep.
I just wouldn't do that if I was a coach when I have a guy that stepped up and is playing well for us. Unless he does something to lose his spot, I think Quan's enough of a veteran that, like, as long as we keep him on the roster, we keep him in the playbook, at any point we need him to start, he can start. We don't need to have him in there, like, to get his legs, get his feet wet, you know what I'm saying, muscle memory. Like, He has that. He's a vet. I think, not that it sends the wrong message. I just don't love, as a player, I've been doing everything you guys asked me to do. I've been working hard for you guys. And still, somebody can come in, even though he's older than me, coming back from injuries, hasn't been here putting in the time. Mm-hmm. He can get the start over me because you guys see something that, like, now I'm not just playing. I'm playing really well.
Yep. There are stats to back that up.
I'm making splash plays. Like, there's a real, like, pathway for me to be a starter, if not here, somewhere in the NFL next year.
Yep.
This doesn't make any sense.
Yep, I totally agree. It's one of those, like, if it's not broken, don't fix it.
Yeah.
Like, even without thinking about, like, what does Justin deserve? It's, the defense has looked really, really good the entire season, but it's held up for the most part, even this past couple weeks with Justin in there. Chargers game not quite as good, but still, tough to complain about it. Justin coming into the game, he had a 20% run stop rate. So 20% of the runs against him against his defense, he was stopping the run, short of it being successful. That was second in the NFL among defenders who've been on the field for at least 50 runs this season. He's the only defender who has stuffed more runs, which I think might be like 2 yards or less, 1 yard or less, who has stuffed more than 10% of the runs he's been on the field for. He's at 12.3%. So yeah, I think that I don't think that Justin Strnad has been one of the like 2 best linebackers in the NFL, but I do think that he's playing really well, and there's some right place, right time sort of stuff that's going on where, that's how Jaquan McMillan started. It's like, yeah, the ball just happens to find him. Like PJ Locke before he got a chance to start. There was like the interception against the 49ers where the ball just was kind of tipped to him, seals the game. I think a fumble kind of bounced to him. Sometimes the ball finding a defensive player is the start of figuring out that player is actually just a really good football player. So I agree. Like, I don't think I wouldn't have taken Justin Strnad off the field. I might have been as excited to see Quan Alexander as anybody, just because he's been a really good linebacker throughout his career. He played really, really well for the Steelers last year before he got hurt. I still don't think I would have played him yet. I think that was just a nice card to have in your back pocket for when you need it. If you need to plug a linebacker in, you happen to have this guy who's proven he can do it. And on top of that, given the injury history, the fact he hasn't finished seasons, maybe waiting to play that card until December gives you a better chance of him finishing the season off, if you get to make a playoff run. So I didn't like the decision, although I was excited to see it. I was excited to see him on the field, and he did recover a fumble. So it wasn't like he was all bad or it was this massive mistake. I wouldn't have done it. Ball bounced to him. I know the ball bounced to him. 2 other guys should have picked it up before it got to him.
It is what it is, man. You know what I'm saying? I think everybody's working hard out there. I just think when guys work hard, they should be rewarded.
Yep.
I'm not saying Justice is perfect. Everybody makes mistakes. I think that, he should be rewarded for what he's done. But I think the linebackers as a whole, they played well last night. I think Cody had a really good game. I mean, if that fumble for a touchdown doesn't get called back, he has two touchdowns in the game. He had a little bit of popcorn before the game. So that interception, you know what I'm saying? But you do still pick up a PBU. So that goes on the stat sheet. But he did a great job of handling the defense and playing good ball. Like, Cody, this is not his first time with the Green Dot. It's not his first time being a starter. Like, he did this all last year. So people coming for him or not understanding like where it's come from. Like, they brought him here to be a starter.
Yes.
And he's playing like a starter. Like,
he is.
It's not, rocket science. I think he's playing really well.
And he's really good in coverage. Yeah. I think people are really getting caught up in the fact he dropped that interception. Look at where he was on the field.
For sure.
Like, he's a linebacker playing zone coverage. I'm not sure if it's like cover 2, cover 3, whatever it was. He's like 20 yards downfield. That's a throw that if you're a quarterback, you should think is going to be there. Like, you're not worried about a linebacker going that far downfield, getting outside the hashes and being right there. He has great senses there. He's a really good athlete. That's an opportunity he earned.
Yep.
Like, I think the Tyrann Mathieu throw, for example, that's not like a play that Tyrann Mathieu earned. Like, he had that opportunity. Cody dropped perfectly, read the quarterback's eyes, and he deserves a lot of credit for that. I mean, he hasn't played perfect football this season either. I think there's a case to be made that Justin should have gotten the start instead of Cody coming into the game. But after last night, you see why the coaches brought him here. You see him kind of blossom into Alex's role.
Yep.
And I think that's what you're hoping for. That you don't see much drop off. So I think they've got at least 3 good linebackers. They've got Zach Cunningham there too. I mean, we both really like what Lavelle Bailey can bring to the defense if his number's called. So those linebackers, I think, are in a really good spot. An incredible spot considering they're down Alex Singleton for the rest of the year. Like, that was an injury coming into this year that I would have said would have been disastrous.
Guys are stepping up.
Nick Bonito has sacks in 5 consecutive games. Are we in the middle of him becoming a really good football player?
I really hope so, man. I think he had 5, but I think last night he could have had 2 more.
And he's sitting at 5 right now for the season.
Yep.
The lead in the NFL is Aiden Hutchinson at 7.5, who obviously he's done for the year with the broken leg. He's playing really, really well. He's up on those leaderboards in terms of best sackers in the NFL. There's more opportunities out there.
Yeah, and I mean, And he wasn't even like a starter first 2 weeks. So he's earned it. I think he's been working hard. I think it's get off his what kills tackles. And
the pursuit, too.
Yeah.
Like, even when Rattler would roll out away from him, he's closing that gap the entire way.
Yeah, he's got a motor. So I really hope this is, just the beginning of Nick Bonito turning into, an elite pass rusher.
Yep. And he kind of did this last year, too. He had a great start to the season, and it faded off a bit. I wonder if that...
I feel like last year was different. I feel like...
He lucked into some of the...
It felt like there was like a good amount of unblocks.
Exactly. Or like pulling on play action. He's just too fast for the guy. He got some of those. These are wins.
These are like he's going one-on-one with your tackle, and I'm too fast. I beat you on the edge, and I win. Like, all sacks are hard to get in the NFL, and I'm not going to discourage the ones from last year, but I will say that these ones are much harder, and he's winning one-on-one blocks. If you start to win the one-on-one matchup consistently in the NFL, like that's what makes you an elite pass rusher.
Yep.
Like when Von's at his best, nobody can block him one-on-one. You're gonna need more than one guys, and that's tough to allocate, that many blockers to one guy. That opens up holes in your defense, and that's what makes you an elite pass rusher. So Nick, keep doing what you're doing, keep winning your one-on-one blocks, and I think you'll have a really successful season.
He's on pace for more than 12 sacks. Like he's opened the door for this to be a great season. He just needs to keep it up, and there's no reason to think he can't.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Baron Browning came back last night, and I think that if you're looking at trading somebody at the trade deadline, as much as I like Baron and I like the talent and all that sort of stuff, I like what he's done when he's been healthy.
Yeah.
You just look at that room with Bonito, obviously Jonathan Cooper, who I think, again, like Cooper, Browning, contracts up at the end of the year. Maybe they do find a way to keep both. More likely they pick one. They could let both walk, just given the young guys, if they think Drew Sanders can figure something out, which, it'd be a bit of a stretch. But
don't forget about Jonah Ellis, who had another sack last night.
And then you also throw in, when Dondre Tillman's been on the field, he's been good. And I don't think that you try to make him a starter or anything, but if that's your fourth option there, which would be the case without Barron, that's a pretty good fourth option to have. So as much as this isn't about Barron not playing well, it's about you just have so many guys there that maybe you do move on from some of that depth.
I don't know if we trade anybody.
Yeah.
I think, just in my opinion, this is a year for, what do you want to say, understanding and evaluation. So I think, you don't want to trade anybody, and then you go the whole year and you're like, oh, dang, that was the guy we should have kept. You know what I'm saying? I don't think you have a full year to get an understanding for all these guys. And contracts, they don't need to be renewed until the end of the year. I think everybody's just telling the squad. Nobody needs to be traded. We got to evaluate everybody for as long as we can and then make the best decisions possible.
Yep, that's fair. Defensive line, another contract situation. DJ Jones' contract is up at the end of the year. And the Broncos, given the cap space they have, he's gonna cost a decent chunk of money especially when you consider you already have John Franklin Myers and Malcolm Roach and Zach Allen. I don't know how you break this up though. Like I think that given how well all these guys are playing, Malcolm Roach coming off the bench, coming in, getting downfield and swatting a pass away and giving the strap celebration, like they have something that's working. I am going to be really upset if DJ Jones isn't a Bronco next year, because this group looks like it can be the foundation of the defense for at least for next year, Yeah.
Yeah, I'm interested because, like you said, there's a lot of good pieces there.
Yeah.
And it's like,
Malcolm deserves a starting spot.
He's a good player, and he has good energy, and he brings something to the defense. Like, got a lot of charisma. People will follow him. Like, it's a tough position to be in, but this is where you want to be.
Yes.
I think for so many years we were like, oh, we don't have enough. Like, we can't even trade anybody. Nobody wants what we have. But now it's to the point where, like, we got some pieces. You know, we can trade some pieces. We can keep some pieces. We can renegotiate with some guys. Like, this is where you want to be as a franchise. You got a young quarterback. You feel like you're have a couple pieces that you're going to have to decide on because you're going to be good. I think that's it.
All right. We got a lot of super chats that we're going to get through. From Jordan, no worries about the passing game. We have seen Manning, Elway, and Mahomes have games where they miss receivers like that past their rookie years. Totally. It's not worry time at all for Bo. It's just wait and see what happens.
It's a fact, but not a worry time.
Josh Steele. In the modern NFL, how many first-round quarterbacks have looked this bad and become a franchise guy? Not to mention a 24-year-old rookie and a low ceiling. He's just missing throws. Like, it seems like that should be something that's more fixable than, not being able to see what's happening in front of him. Jordan, again, next week, wide receivers should be 1 Sutton, 2 Franklin, 3 Bailey, 4 Mims, 5 Perry. Can we stop acting like Estimates Gordon? He's a rookie who is still learning. Yeah, that's one way it could go. I'd be surprised to see A.T. Perry given how the rest are playing. Give a little Jordan Humphrey some respect. Chad Scheller, could be Scheffler. I'm a long way away. Love the DNVR. Go Broncos. Appreciate you, Chad.
Up, man. We
will be back on Monday, and we'll see you then.
Yes, sir.
We all silly like the mayor.